All right, so the next thing we need to talk about is the building up of the fleet up into the Panama Canal. We're now moving away from McKinley, and we're going into the Roosevelt years here, and so this will be a good example of how Roosevelt is. Now, I love this cartoon here because we have George Washington, James Monroe, Teddy Roosevelt. Now, notice, non-entanglement, right? Get a little bit close. We have an edge completely out here, right? We're going to go with you. And so Roosevelt is kind of the farthest one that takes us the furthest away that we've been at this point from Washington. Now, he relies his story on what is called the Great White Fleet. Now, this is the Great White Fleet. You can tell it's a bunch of boats, right? Now, why Great White? If you see right above the horizon, you can see the bottom part of the boat there, and it is white, correct? And maybe that's an intimidating sight. If the white part of the Great White Shark is up, you're a little bit scared as well, right? Now, what he does is he sends them on a whirlwind tour. Starts them in San Francisco. They go through the Pacific, down through the Philippines, kind of up here through, well, not Philippines, down here by Australia, around this way up around here, down through the Philippines, up here, up through the Suez Canal, through the English Channel, down around South America, and then back. So what happens here is, this is a show of force. This is him saying, we have the strongest navy. We can get anywhere in the world we want to. Don't mess with us. Pretty cool, right? Now, in our terms here of foreign policy, it's called the big stick policy. Speak softly, carry a big stick. Here we have Roosevelt with his big stick going in the Caribbean, right, into the Dominican Republic, which is an important place that we use in imperialism. And he's tugging behind them what? The Great White Fleet. In other words, in the Caribbean, if anybody messes with them there, they have to deal with the Great White Fleet. Okay? Now, Roosevelt uses this, and he expounds upon the Monroe Doctrine. Again, remember, Monroe Doctrine basically said, don't come over into the Western Hemisphere, Eastern Hemisphere, stick away. But it was more of a threat. And this is the best way I can explain the difference between these next two things is, if you have a dad, and your dad sits there and says, if you get bad grades, I'm going to whip you. It may be fearsome to some, but others are kind of calling us bluff. Whereas if you come home and your dad is holding a stick, he says, give me your report card, if you have a C, I'm going to whip you. You're a little bit more intimidated at that point because you see the threat, it's imminent, it's right there, correct? Here is what happens, all right? It's called the Roosevelt Corollary. A corollary is nothing more than an addition. Not coronary, that means somebody dies, but a corollary. Okay? I've kind of cut off the picture here, but I'm sorry. Basically, England, or Portugal, I believe it was trying to come into Republic of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, okay? And we rolled up with our big stick, with our navy, right? And we protected them. And so when Portugal came, they saw this and they said, okay, we have to back off. So the Roosevelt Corollary is a show of force in the Monroe Doctrine. Not just saying stay away, but saying stay away and we have our navy, and if you come over here and mess with us, we will blow you up. So, a little bit more intimidating, correct? Alright. Going back to that idea we had about the Middle American Canal. We have Nicaragua and we have Panama. We originally settled on Nicaragua. Why? Because the French were already building a canal in Panama. Okay? So we go and we sign a treaty with these people. Nicaragua at the time was controlled by these people, and it was called the Clayton-Bulwer Treaty. All right? And so that's between the United States and England over the right to build the canal in Nicaragua. Now, we ran into some problems, mainly cutting through mountain ranges, etc. But we're working on it, okay? In the end, we see it's going to be a little bit difficult, all right? At the same time, the French give up on the Panama Canal. The yellow fever is too much. They actually got a really good start like we did. However, Panama has a little bit better conditions. It's a little bit thicker to cut through, or thinner to cut through. So ultimately, we're going to switch sides at this point, and we're going to go sign another treaty. So Clayton-Bulwer Treaty was between the United States and England and Nicaragua. The new treaty we go and sign is called the the Hay-Pauncefote Treaty. We go sign a treaty with the French to get control of what is called the Panama Canal. And here's the Panama Canal right here, okay? So you can see how it works. All right, notice Mosquito Gulf. So you can tell yellow fever is going to be a big problem here. Now, the even bigger problem is that Panama is not in a position to negotiate with us. We got rights from the French. We now need rights from whoever they control. So, fearing another war, Congress says, let us settle. Let us go and figure this out. And let us just go and kind of talk to the country that owns them and see if they want it. So we offered a lump sum and then also a rent, yearly rent, to Colombia. And Colombia said, nope, not going to happen. And so we kind of go back to the drawing board, and things are just looking sour. Now, Roosevelt becomes aware of something, and that is that Panama is having a rebellion against the Colombians. And so we have a coup d'etat, right? Republican Party. Roosevelt will send supplies and help the Panamanians. Gosh, that's fun to say, right? Panamanian sounds like Tasmanian. Anyway, he'll send supplies to help the Panamanian revolt against Colombia if they allow him to build the canal. So naturally they say yes, not a problem. So we send supplies, Panama wins their revolt, and they become independent. So right there you have Panama, and what I need you to know is they win a rebellion against the Colombians with U.S. support. Now, not many troops, I would imagine, maybe in a advisory role, but we're going to help out, okay? Now, what makes the Panama Canal so interesting is it has locks. It doesn't flow top to like this. So rather than blasting and make it all level, we created these locks. And what you do is you get the boat in there, you seal it up, and then it would either increase or decrease the water level to the next area before they sail down. And this way here, they travel where it goes. Now, the next little political cartoon is an important one because this is kind of like the egg on your face, I guess you would consider it, right? This political cartoon is called The News Reaches Bogota. And Bogota is right here, right? It's the capital of Colombia. And so because of a new treaty, we're allowed to dig our canal. Teddy Roosevelt, right? He has his big stick. And as you can tell here, we have the Great White Fleet, right? And so this is kind of like we offered you money, you told us no, so now you get nothing, you get dirt. You're just going to get what we're getting here. We're going to shovel it on you, and so there it is. And I would say possibly still today, Columbia harbors some ill will towards us, stemming back to this and other events. But there is that, right?